I'm Aileen from Entecom Cape Town. In our last podcast, we spoke about food safety team leaders and what qualifications they need, and we also touched on personalities. Today's podcast is all about leadership. In the industry, we have seen more and more focus required from management in terms of management commitment that is written into food safety standards. ISO 9001 has leadership requirements, and even the updated R638 regulation requires the person in charge to have some qualification in food safety and to lead from the front. Great leadership is required even more so during these tough and uncertain times. Today I will be chatting to Johan from Be Real Consulting, who is a business management consultant and a real guru when it comes to leadership. Hi, Johan, and thanks for joining me.
Hi, Aileen. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate this opportunity to spend some time with you guys.
Cool. Let's dive right in, Johan. When you visit a business, how can you tell that there is great leadership in the business?
Yes, good question. So when I get into an organization or a business, there's primarily two things that I try to focus on initially. And the first one is what I call successful outcome. I have a look at the organization to find out, is the business and the departments, the employees, are they achieving those successful outcomes? And when you actually look at that, if there's a performance or efficiency issue or problem that might be in question, most often it is because there's no clarity and measurability in place in that team or department or in that individual themselves. And the second thing that I focus on is relationships. Now, when I talk about relationships, I'm not talking about everybody liking each other or being friends with each other. I'm talking about the overall interaction between processes, departments, teams, peers, customers, suppliers, and the like. Now, great leaders have the ability to influence relationships in such a way that things simply flow together and help secure the successful outcome with consistency, which is the most important thing. It's easy to have successes, ups and downs, but to have it consistently is one of the most important things, because then you know there's great leadership in place that's been done in a consistent way. And the important thing then with leadership, and to find out if there's good leadership in place in an organization, is that everybody know their place. They know what's required of them, how to do it. They know why they're doing it, when to do it, and everybody is motivated to do it.
Yeah, I can really relate to that. You know, when someone knows what they're supposed to do, then it's a safe space for them. They go to work, they know what's expected of them. There's nothing scary, no uncertainties, and it's a comfortable place for them to be. Right.
Yeah, and that's an important thing you've just mentioned there. It's a safe place to be. I think the minute you walk into an organization, and the same as a home, the minute you walk into someone's home, you'll know that there's good leadership in place in that space when you walk in there and you experience a sense of freedom.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So when I talk to you, it feels you already know what I'm thinking, and you really make me feel at ease when I'm in a conversation with you. So is that something that you apply purposefully as a great leader? And I also wanted to ask you around soft skills. So what soft skills do a person in a leadership position need, and can one actually go on a course for it and educate, get trained? What would you suggest?
Sure, that's a lot of questions.
I have so much to ask you. I'm like adding a few into one.
So you mentioned that when you talk to me, you get the experience that I already know what you're thinking. Well, it's just a sixth sense that I have, I guess. No, I'm just kidding. Basically, what it is, the minute you talk to me and you get that sense that I know what you're thinking, it comes from a place of experience. And what I mean with experience is you get the sense that I have the experience. I've been there myself. And that's what experience provides you with, and your clients with. And the minute you get that experience, that you know that I've been there, that's the very same thing that puts you at ease as well. Because the minute you know, I have that experience, I've been through that process, or I've been in the place where you are, then you know, no, I'm not coming from a place of judging you, that I'm going to criticize you, or just try to make you feel that I think I'm better or smarter than you are. And that's a powerful place to be.
Yeah, and I think in our industry, sorry, I interrupted you,
no,
but I see, you know, many like floor workers or lower level workers in factories and facilities. I think that's really important, because they might feel management don't understand where they are coming from. So being at a place where they feel, okay, management understands me, and you know, then
so that's something important you just mentioned there, because that comes across to the second question you asked about the soft skills. And when it comes to soft skills, yes, you can learn them, and we all should learn them. It's important, and most probably the most important soft skill that we need to learn, and it's something that's just become more relevant of what we're going through right now with the lockdown. And I just a few moments earlier spoke to a client of mine who was asked the question, how has his leadership style changed prior to lockdown to what it is now? And there's one core value or soft skill, if you want to call it that came up. And that is the soft skill of understanding, of truly having the willingness and humility to understand a situation before you react or make a decision or take action. And that is most probably the most powerful soft skill that one needs to learn. And it's not something you just have, it's something we need to learn how to do it in a way that it's a powerful, uplifting way for both parties or all the parties involved. It's really important. The second soft skill that's important for us to learn as leaders is focus. And when I talk about focus, it's something that happens so easily in our environment today, is when we get into a discussion with people, if there was a situation or an issue involved, because it's easy to be a leader when everything's going great. Okay, so the challenge for leadership comes when there's challenges and
like
issues involved. Exactly, you know. So, and when I talk about focus in that space, it's for us to learn how to focus, how to be outcome focused, to focus on the outcome that we want to achieve, and not to make things personal. Because that's something that we do so quickly and so easily, where we sort of divert from the point that we need to address, and we start making things personal and play a victim role in that space. And from there, everything just goes south very, very quickly. The third soft skill we need to learn is responsibility. Now, we all think, oh, well, we know what responsibility is, and we do it. But here's the thing about responsibility. It's having the ability to always place responsibility where it should be. Now, that's something managers or leaders struggle with, because if things don't work out the way we want it to, we quickly to say, oh, just leave it, I'll do it myself.
I do that.
And whether you do that as a mother or a father or a manager at work, that's what we do. But what you do in that process is you almost, what I call, you add wood on the fire, and you just keep making things worse, and you don't empower the other person to actually learn and to get better.
I think that's what quality managers also do, you know. It's such a tight control for them to do, you know, so much to do, and instead of taking the time, now it's going to take a lot of time to train this guy and check up on him, they just do it themselves.
And I hear what you say, and that's not just true for them, it's all over, because you think that, yes, oh man, I don't have the time to train people now. But if you just look at it, it would have taken you maybe 5 or 10 minutes to train this person, to show them how to do it, and to let them do it so you can see if they know how to do it properly. And it would have saved you, well, if you just want to think back, how many weeks or months have you been struggling with it now compared to that 10 minutes that it would have taken? Just asking the question. So that's responsibility. And then the next thing that flows from that, which is the fourth soft skill that's crucially important, is accountability. And that is, now that people know their responsibilities, and again, there's clarity, measurability in the responsibility, which is very important, is to make sure that people are held accountable in an uplifting manner. And that's very important.
Wow. so much information, powerful stuff. I get so excited about this topic. So I really like action plans.
Oh, yes. Sorry for
Yeah.
interrupting. You asked the third question. I've just made a note of it.
Yes,
You
I
asked the
also
third
forgot
question as
about
well.
that.
Can you go?
Like training.
And here's my answer. Yeah, and some people will agree or disagree with me, but yes and no. Can you learn this stuff? Can you learn how to be a great leader? So the important thing is these soft skills is something we all can and should learn. And the reason why I'm saying it is because we are all leaders. Whether you like it or not, we are all leaders. The day you got married, you became a leader of your marriage. The day you had children, you became a leader of your family.
I'm so glad we're recording this.
And you want to take it a step backwards from there as well. You're a leader of your own life. What does your health look like? And so if you look at your marriage, your parenting, your own life in terms of your health and all of that, what does that currently look like? How good a leader are you?
Well, we doubt it.
But however, to get to the other point, if you're a manager in an organization or a business, not all of us have the natural ability to lead a team of people. And not just lead a team of people, but also to lead a team of people in conjunction with having to achieve the successful outcome and the business processes and all of that that's involved to achieve your successful outcome. Not all of us have that natural ability to do that. And there's no right and wrong there. That's just what it is. But the only way to find it out is for you to go and learn these leadership soft skills, if you want to call it that, and then to start applying them. And in doing so, finding out what the outcome is and where you fit in that whole process and if it's going to work for you or not. Yeah.
So that's a lot of information. So how do we do this? Do you have an action plan or tools or tricks for leaders in the food industry that they can actually apply?
Yeah, so good question. And that's important because all of us in life, especially business, we want something tangible that we can use to go and make a difference, something that's measurable that we can actually show, are we making progress or not? And so in order to assist with that process, yes, I've, over the years of experience, developed a model that I use. And it's a model that is very simple, it's powerful, it's real, and it's very practical. And this model is called the 4 C's of leadership. And the great thing about this model is it's a multiplier. So the minute you address one of those C's, it impacts all of the other as well. So therefore, change happens so much quicker than you ever think it could have done just by using this model and taking into account all the aspects thereof. So this model, when you talk about the 4 C's, the first one, C, is context. So that's the relationship contexts that influence and impact on your position and role in life that you need to look at. And therefore, we go and look at those contexts and we assess them. How healthy are they? We look at what action plans we can put in place, action steps we can put in place to address those certain relationship contexts. And that becomes your measurement tool, which is fantastic. And you as a manager can use that with all your employees. So you can get a sense of what the health is of your current situation in your entire department and your individual employees working for you. So it's very powerful and it's practical. And then we look at the next C is character. So there we dig into character values, which is very powerful. Because the great thing about character, that's the equalizer. It doesn't matter what race or sex or culture or religion you are, we all experience character the same. Trust. If you can trust someone, for all of us, it's a good experience. If you can't, for all of us, it's a negative experience. Even kindness or compassion, for all of us, it doesn't matter what age or race or sex, culture or religion. If you experience compassion from someone, kindness, it's a great experience. So that's where character comes in, and it's very powerful in any organization and relationship context that you have. The third C is communication, which is very powerful, and we'll talk about that maybe a little bit later. And the fourth one is competence. And the competence one is very powerful because there we look at each relationship context you find yourself in sort of demands a certain successful outcome of you. And it's important to then look at that and find out, do you actually know what that is? Do you know what the successful outcome is that your boss actually demands of you or what expects from you? If not, then you've got a problem, okay? Because then you'll never be successful. There'll always be issues. Yeah.
I think that's what a lot of people experience, and that's, of course, a lot of frustration.
Yes, because people, especially managers, leaders, assume or expect certain outcomes from the people, and I think they know what to do. But they've never taken the time to ask them and get an answer on, do they truly understand what it is they expect from them? And do they know how to go about that? So we look at that competence part. In other words, do you know what the successful outcome is expected of you? Do you have the skill for it? Do you have the understanding for it, the knowledge of it, the experience for it? Do you have the tools for it? And once you've done all of that process, then we find out actually if you're in the seat that you should be, or should you be somewhere else in order to be successful. And in that way, you know that, do I actually have all the people in my organization or in my team that can do what they need to do, and therefore set us up for success instead of setting us up for failure because they don't know how to do it, or one or two don't know how to do it, and that's where we always stumble. So that's where this 4 C's model becomes very, very powerful.
So it's measurable, those 4 C's that you can. Okay,
Absolutely.
And you can apply this in a business, but also for personal life, right?
Absolutely, because it's a model that yes, it's a model that you apply in your own personal life, and something, because you apply this with every individual in your team. So it is a personalized model. But the minute you've personalized it for everyone, because you've looked at all the relationship contexts, therefore you will understand the context in the business environment, the context in their personal life, the context, you get all those contexts. So therefore it gives you a crystal clear picture of the complete environment that those people find themselves in, including your organization. So you actually then know exactly what you're dealing with from all angles. No surprises anymore.
So we've been talking a lot about relationships and understanding people, and I know that communication is important.
Yeah.
So would you say, is there a magic trick to be a good communicator?
Well, unfortunately, statistics tell us there's not. If we look at the rate of, divorces and all of that taking place in the personal world, in the corporate world, all the CNA cases.
Who would have known communication is so hard?
Yes. And that's the thing. That's a very mistake, Aileen, that we're making, because we can talk. We as humans, we think we can communicate. That's the biggest mistake we've ever made. I actually presented a communication workshop based on this. We actually designed a communication intelligence profile. You can go to www.tointeract.com and find it there. And it's a world first verbal communication profile. And at a workshop that we did in the United States, we sat there and did the 2-day workshop. And one of the executives in the workshop at one point actually just stopped the whole process and said, guys, I just really need to stop here, because I just can't help myself for realizing that we need to learn how to communicate. It's something we need to learn. We don't just have it because we can talk. We need to learn it. And we literally just stopped there for a moment and it just sunk in. And it is something we need to learn, how to verbally communicate powerfully in a way that people can resonate with you and relate with you and engage with you and actually hear what you're telling them, and not just hearing what you think they're hearing. And that's where all the mistakes come in, because everybody, there's 4 different verbal communication styles, and you communicate from the style that you like to communicate with, and therefore you receive it in the same way. And if the person you're communicating to has a different verbal communication style, you're just not connecting and hearing each other. And that's why we wonder why we get, for instance, a situation where an employee will come to you and tell you, but this is what I've done, and you argue and say, but that's not what I asked of you. And they come and they tell you, but that's exactly what you asked of me. And then you wonder, where did that disconnect come from? It's because you said something and they heard something else. Even because of your
and this is teachable. Someone can help you with your communication styles, and there's just certain things that you can apply that can make such a big change.
And the great thing about it is I can literally spend half an hour with you, and the penny will drop, and you will actually understand the difference, and you'll understand how powerful it is, and you will understand how to do it differently, literally within a half an hour of spending time with you. But that's why we actually use a 2-day workshop where we apply it to specific roles like a sales team or a supply team or accounts or advertising or marketing team, and we make it practical and real and relevant for that department, which is very powerful.
And what I see in businesses in the food industry, we often have communication policies or procedures, but that's literally when a meeting is like, when do we communicate or how, via email or phone, but it's not at all like how you should communicate.
Yeah, you're talking about the communication process. That's something completely different.
That's all there is about communication.
Emails and memos and all of that. That's communication processes. But but verbal communication is within all of that. SMS is verbal communication just on an SMS platform, with WhatsApp, email. It's all verbal communication just on a different platform.
That's so interesting. I can talk to you the whole day, Johan. Okay, last question. If you can get one message across today to the people in leadership positions, what would that be?
Well, it's something that I've learned. Where are we now? When I was 36, so that's 10 years ago now. The most powerful lesson in life, and that was that leadership, first of all, is all about relationship. Whether we like it or not, we can think about hardcore stuff, but leadership is all about the relationship. So what I mean with that is that all success and failure, don't care who you are, what your organization is, what service or products you provide, all success and failure always takes place in the context of a relationship. So therefore, the most important thing that we need to start paying attention to is relationships. And I'm not just talking about the soft liking each other part of it. I'm talking about your relationship with your tools, your processes, the relationship between your departments, the relationship that you have with your suppliers. All of those type of relationships have an impact. The relationship that you have with yourself and your skills, which is the most important thing, because if something's asked of you and you need to provide a certain outcome and you realize you don't have the skill for it or the ability to do it, that brings me straight to the most important relationship then, is the relationship with yourself. Because in that moment, how are you going to respond? How are you going to react? Are you try and hide it or cover it up? Or what are you going to do? It brings me then the relationship that you've got with your boss. Do you actually have the freedom to then go to your boss, your manager, and tell them this, that you don't have the skill or the ability to do this? Or are you going to be too afraid to do it? Which will then tell me a lot about the relationship that you have with your leader and that person's leadership style. So leadership, people, that's the most important thing, relationship.
Thanks, Johan. I found this topic so interesting because I can apply all of this to myself as well.
I know, and there's so much more.
I'm also a business owner. I'm also in a leadership position. So I can really apply all of this.
I think the great thing, Aileen, about how I go about this whole process is that I know there's many books and topics about leadership and relationship, all that stuff out there. And once you've been through it, it all sounds nice, but then you wonder, okay, but what now? How do I actually now go about applying this stuff and putting it? That's what I do. I make these things so practical and real for you from experience that in that moment when we talk about a topic, you'll know exactly why it's happening in your life and you'll know exactly what you need to go and do about it to make an instant difference. And that is where my approach and what I do is completely different.
It's exactly like when we spoke about communication. So I know, yes, communication is important, but I don't always know, what to do about it or how to help people to communicate. So I think knowing to apply all of this information is really valuable.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, thanks, Johan. We look forward to hearing more from you.
You're welcome.
with our food safety culture workshop coming up, right? So you're going to join us
Awesome.
in that workshop in August.
Yeah.
And for everyone to stay up to date, make sure that you register on our website to receive our monthly ebooks and podcasts, and look out for us on Facebook and LinkedIn.